Hello, and thank you for joining us for our weekly pop of the champagne cork when it comes to all things electric from the team at electrifying.com. Although I can't lie, we don't actually have champagne, which is a shame, but we have a mixture of coffee and tea. Perfectly fine. This week, we have a very, very special episode for you because we're going to be revealing which cars and brands have been brilliant enough to be named winners at our Electrifying Awards. And we all love a winner, don't we? Yeah.
We do.
Welcome to the Kilowatt Half Hour. I'm Nicola.
I am Ginny.
I'm Vicky.
And I'm Mike.
Hooray!
Hello, everyone.
Right, everyone, it's awards time. It's all very exciting. Have we all recovered? Because this was a tough one, wasn't it? I mean, we've driven so many good cars this year. It's been a big year.
Yeah, it has been a really big year, hasn't it? My goodness. It's been also the year of the affordable EV, which we all wanted, but there's been so many good things in all the classes. It's been really good, I think. Really good.
Ginny?
Yes. I mean, honestly, I think this year we've seen everything, haven't we? From, electric Porsche Macan, Dacia Spring, everything in between. It seems now like more than any other time that there is something for everybody now in the EV market. And also the other good thing is that I do think we've seen prices start to level off and come down. We've got price parity now with a couple of brands. So yeah, it's been a good electric year.
What about you, Mike? Because I feel like this year has definitely felt different in terms of EVs. It's been a bit more exciting this year. There's been more things added to the market.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we've been scratching around in previous years, but there's been cars that we've always thought, well, it works well, but it's compromised. It's good at this, but not so great at that. I think this year we were really spoilt for choice. It was a real, every one of the cars that we shortlisted was deserving of the overall title. And I don't think we've had that since we've started doing these awards kind of 3 years ago. This is the first year where we've really had no stand out, not because they're no good, but they're all brilliant. So that made it. Yeah. I mean, when you say it was tough, it wasn't digging roads. It's not hard work, but it was an enjoyable task to choose the winner. But certainly the standard was really high this year.
Right, so before we get started, I'd like us all to raise our glasses of that's definitely champagne and not coffee and tea.
It's my
and say,
tea.
Let's do this. Mike, go on then. We'll kick things off with you. Go on.
Well, we've all sat through plenty of award ceremonies over the years. Some of them I've organised that have been, you'd rather chew your own arm off than sit through them because they just go on forever and it's like a school party and everybody gets an award. So everybody's happy. We've gone against that this year because we decided we were going to do something a bit different. So we were a bit picky, weren't we, Vicky?
We were. And I say this as somebody who spent many years deciding the What Car Awards as well as Deputy Road Test Editor for What Car. And there are a lot of What Car Awards.
Yeah.
A lot. So I was especially keen to just keep it really simple and really straightforward. So we have made it quite hard for ourselves by doing that. So we have only 5 awards. We've got our overall car of the year, of course, but we also have our best value EV, our brand of the year, our used EV, and just to acknowledge that charging on the go is getting better every day. It really is. It frustrates me, some of the coverage you see of it, because I do high mileage in EVs and it's actually really good these days. So we've also got a charging network of the year.
Yes, short but sweet. Mainly down to Picky Vicky, as you are now to be known by the rest of us. You might not thank us for that in the long run, Vic.
Maybe not.
Should we kick off then? Shall I take an award? So let's kick off with the best value EV, because this was hard, wasn't it? I mean, there were so many cars in contention for this. This year we've seen, like you said, Vic, it's been the year of the affordable EV. We've got the Dacia Spring, we've had the Insta, the Citroen EC3, we've seen the Renault 5 have a reboot. There's more probably that you guys want to add into that list, but we had a lot to consider. And actually, we've decided on one car that literally made most of the team giddy with excitement when we first saw it back in the spring. And yes, I'm looking at you, Mike, because you don't get giddy with excitement.
He doesn't.
Generally.
He doesn't.
No.
Have you been giddy with excitement about anything this year?
Yeah, the new Twizy that isn't a Twizy. That's the I really like that.
Okay. The award does not go to that. So the award for best value electric car goes to the Renault 5.
Yes.
Yay.
Oh goodness me, we went round the houses with this, didn't we, Vicky? We were literally,
Yes.
there were a few real serious contenders for this one.
Yeah, my goodness. I mean, well, like we said, there's so many great value used EVs. So, an honourable mention to the Citroen EC3, which I still really like. Really decent little car, really good value. You know, when the LFP factory comes out, that's going to be great. But I mean, the Renault 5. I mean, there's and the Hyundai Insta. God, we thought about that too. We thought about all these different things. But the Renault 5, my God, the Renault 5, it's so cool. It's so cool.
My
And
God,
I
the Renault
can't
5.
believe how affordable it's going to be. So I would add, at this very moment that we're recording, Renault still hasn't actually definitely officially confirmed the pricing, but we have it on good authority that, you know, it's pretty much there and it's going to start from £23,000. I mean, what a car. Great,
Yeah.
great car. It looks incredible, really lovely to drive. I'm so blown away by it. I really want one.
I know you and I are very lucky because we've both driven this car already, and it is really fun to drive. It's not perfect, but very few things are perfect. But it's just such a great package, isn't it? And I think why it really tipped it over the edge for us was that one that we suspect, as you say, will come in at £23,000 is affordable for what it offers, but it also is aspirational. And it shows that you don't have to go, oh, okay, I'm getting a sort of not, you know, I'm not spending a lot of money. Well, it still is a lot of money, but, you know, I'm getting a more affordable car. But actually, it looks cool. It looks great. They've done a really good job of rebooting this. And it can be quite dodgy ground, can't it? Because you look at what happened with the Beetle. That was definitely not nailed. Mini nailed it, and I think this has nailed it as well. It's got retro charm, modern tech, completely nailed that comeback. And I think in the end, were we unanimous on this, Mike and Nick? I think we were.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, the Renault 5 is more exciting than anything else because they have absolutely nailed the retro side of things. Whenever I think of a Renault 5, I think of Ali G because that's the car he drives. And I was always obsessed with that car when the Ali G show was on the telly. And when they did the film, I was like, yeah, it's such a cool car. And then as soon as we heard that they were re-releasing it and making it an EV, of course, we all start getting worried because you never know what's going to happen. And then they reveal it and you're like, oh, it's exactly what I wanted it to be. It's absolutely perfect. And then they revealed the prices and you go, bloody hell. Yes. Well done, Renault. Well played.
And let's not forget the baguette basket. I mean, it deserves the award for the fact that it has got in the accessories options a baguette basket, which I think if ever an optional extra has been made with somebody in mind, it was probably made in mind with Mike Askew. I'm guessing that you would definitely spec that, would you, a baguette basket? I just see you jauntily with a baguette over your shoulder, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I listen. I approve of it. I think I think the baguette basket is great. I imagine there was plenty of meetings at Renault when we thought, this is a bit cliched. Let's not put a baguette. Well, you know, we're gonna have somewhere to hang your string of onions or something. They went with it, and I'm glad they did because it's you know, it'll be useful for other things, won't it? You won't necessarily, you know, have to have
umbrellas.
Put a baguette in it. Yeah, British, an umbrella. There you go.
Yeah. Flowers. I'm always putting my flowers when I go pick up some flowers at the supermarket, and I chuck them on the back seat, and I get home, and they're all crushed on the bottom because they've been thrown on the seat. That will be brilliant for my
I do the same with a bottle of wine, right?
Yeah.
So I'll buy a bottle of wine. 9 times out of 10, I will put it on the passenger seat and I put the seatbelt around it because, you know, safety first. So I feel like that's a perfect place for me to put a bottle of wine.
Maybe not what they intended it for, but I'm loving the ideas.
It's French. They love their wine. It's perfectly fine.
Oh dear.
Wow.
Should we move on to the next award? Well done, Renault 5. Let's move on over to you, Vicky.
Go on then. Right. So how about we turn to the used market now? Because interesting year for the used market too, because used electric cars are quite good value at the moment. But as we mentioned on a previous podcast in the last couple of weeks, starting to creep up again in prices, actually. Seeing a bit of a plateauing. So now might be a good time to buy. So again, really tricky this one because there's a lot of great value used EVs out there. A lot. But, so, you know, don't forget, you can always check Barnard's Bargain of the Week. You can listen to the podcast. We've got lease deals on the website. But, you know, having got that promo in, the winner of the used EV of the year is the Citroen EC4.
Yeah!
Now, again, it was a tricky one, but I think even so, I think this was one that we kept coming back to because we really like the EC4 anyway, because it's one of those cars, I think some people have forgotten it. It's sort of, the ID3 overshadows it in the family electric car market, all of that stuff. It's just somehow kind of a bit lost. It's a bit of a bridesmaid in the new car class, when you look at the family cars, but it's comfy, it's big, it's really kind of quirky and cool. It's just really nice. The range is decent on it. It's efficient. So, it's just a really good, does the job car. And it originally arrived in 2020. You had a 50 kilowatt hour battery then. It's now got a slightly bigger battery. So you can even choose between those two if you need a little bit more range. The 54 kilowatt hour is a good option. Prices are great. You can get a car that will feel pretty much brand new, for £16,000. It's amazing. So it's a great buy, really good. So yeah, that's a really good one, I think. What do you reckon, team? What were the other good ones we thought of, and what do we think of the Citroen?
Well, you've seen the new EC4, haven't you? You did a walk around, and I saw that at Paris Motor Show a couple of weeks ago. So that's going to have another impact on used prices, isn't it, when that hits the market? So these could become even more bargains, couldn't they?
Yeah. I mean, the new one is just as great and has even more comfortable seats, even though we didn't think that would be physically possible in a Citroen because their seats are just blooming incredible. But I mean, yeah, you look at the new one and you go, yeah, okay, funky new design, nice. Okay, you got some new lights and stuff and comfier seats. But yeah, if you can look at the used version of it, it's well worth it. Well worth it.
Yeah, I think other used ones that we discussed, we talked about the Fiat 500, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
As that being, Mike always mentions the BMW i3 every single time we talk about this, don't you, Mike?
Because he loves it.
Yeah, and the Twizy, that of course always gets thrown in the mix.
The Twizy, yeah, absolutely. I was actually looking at the can't get it. I'll mention the Volkswagen ID7. Buy one of those, new or used. My obligatory sort of promo for the ID7.
You wanted us to consider the Skoda Enyaq, obviously.
Yeah. We did genuinely consider the Skoda Enyaq. That's a good buy as well.
We did. I think the thing is, though, that there were a lot. And I think that's the thing now that, we've seen prices creeping up a little bit again. But because we're now getting all those cars that were sold new sort of 3 years ago on on those lease and PCP deals that are starting to come to the market. And of course, that's when we really saw the uplift in the sale of new cars. There's just a lot of choice in the used car market. And we have guides and videos and explainers over at electrifying.com and here on the YouTube channel. So that's my plug.
That was a marvellous plug. Really well done. And I think on that note, we shall move on to the next award. So the next award is basically in honour of you, Mike, as I don't think there is anyone that clocks up the miles in their EV on the team more than you do. I mean, I know like Vicky does a lot of miles. I do a lot of miles, but you are next level. And that's because you choose to make us all jealous because you live by the seaside. Yeah. So you've had all the experience, haven't you? I mean, you've experienced the good, the bad, the ugly when it comes to charging away from home.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I live in the middle of nowhere. And when I was first, I've been driving electric cars for 5 years now. And when I used to go and see a client up in Milton Keynes from where I am in Weymouth, there was one charger on the route, on the A34. I could always get on it because no one else had an electric car back then. So it was fine. Now that's changed completely. And I think when we all discuss this within the team, which brand we tend to go to and which one we kind of prefer to find on a route, it was only really one brand that kind of stood head and shoulders out above the others for speed, availability, and reliability, which is the most important thing when you just want to get home. You don't want to gamble it. So anyway, so the winner of our charging network of the year is Instavolt.
Yay!
Yeah. We love it.
We weren't judging this on the cheapest. We were judging it on what you've just said, that reliability, weren't we? And spread, and the things that actually matter. So
yeah, and I think I've not had an Instavolt charging session that hasn't worked. Actually, I tell a lie. One didn't work, and I direct messaged them on Twitter, which was called Twitter at the time. And they got back to me straight away and they said, oh, that unit's having an update. It'll be fine in 5 minutes. And as I walked out to the car, it was working again. So, even for the customer service, that's brilliant, isn't it? It obviously had an issue and they anyway, I think 100% of the time we've always had success at Instavolt. And they've got some great big hubs, and they've got loads coming as well. They've got 1,600 chargers that are currently running rapid charges. They've got Stroud Park, which is that amazing place near Banbury, which is 32 chargers. I think it started with 6. Huge place. And there's a massive hub that's going in near Winchester, which is going to have 44 chargers, all fed by solar power in the field next door. So they've got some huge projects. And I don't know what you think, but it hasn't been good for our waistlines. That's the only negative about Instavolt winning, is because they tend to put, 2 chargers in McDonald's and Costa and Starbucks and KFC. So, I mean, there's often when I'm coming back from Heathrow, there's 2 in Basingstoke that I stop at. Oh, man, I think I'm not going to have anything to eat here because I've eaten on the plane. It's absolutely fine. But no, the smell gets me, and I'm in. I've gone. So it's terrible.
I have
terrible
that
for my
exact
health.
theory of get an electric car, get fat. That's just kind of how it is.
I think we have a video about that. We actually have made a video, do electric cars make you fat? You just need a lot of willpower, don't you? Because that is the problem. But it's like night and day, isn't it? Because like you, I wasn't an early adopter, but certainly 6 years ago, I was regularly driving up and down the country. And I remember horror stories. I really do. Just awful times. And I think the one thing that I've realised is that it's worth perhaps coming a little bit off your route to find that charger that is always reliable. And when we talked about this, that's what we said we all do with Instavolt. You'll invariably get a decent cup of coffee. And I've had one charger that I've had to complain about in all my years, like you, Mike, and it was just that it wasn't. It was delivering the power really slowly, and I was the only person there. And I put a tweet out to them about that, and they gave me a ring, which is just like this was a long time ago. So they are very responsive as well, which I think matters.
Oh, there we go. See, well done, team. Right. We've gone through 3 awards so far? So we've got 2 more to go. Okay, this next one. I think this is quite a big one, because it's quite hard to think of a brand these days that doesn't have an electric car in its lineup. I mean, can we think of any off the top of our heads?
Land Rover.
Oh, yeah, no, of course.
Yeah, Jag, but that allegedly is going to change soon. We are apparently seeing it reasonably soon, allegedly.
Same with Suzuki, but there's one coming. We know that. There's been...
Seat technically, but anyway.
Split technically. Okay, so there's still quite a few. But for our next award, we're going to be looking at a brand that really leads the way when it comes to electric cars because of their complete lineup of electric cars. I mean, we've thought about BMW, thought about Peugeot, who now offer an electrified model of each of its cars, either on sale or they're on the way, and also Kia as well. But there was one brand that stood out above the rest. So, car brand of the year goes to Hyundai. Yeah. Now look, this was a tricky one because there are so many. I mean, we look at sort of Stellantis and brands like that, like your Vauxhalls and your Peugeots or whatever, and they do offer so many electric cars. But when it comes to Hyundai, they just seem to be able to do a complete range of real high quality electric cars that appeals to buyers from across the entire market spectrum. There's literally a car for everyone. Value for money, 7-seater SUVs. They're just kind of offering everything. And then obviously we can't move on without mentioning the Ioniq 5N, something for people that want a bit of fun. They've absolutely smashed it, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like you say, the sheer kind of range of electric cars that they offer. And I mean, from the 5N to the Insta, it's just, they're so good. And I also spent quite a lot of time in the Santa Fe, and they've got a really good plug-in hybrid version of that, and that's fantastic as well. I do want a pure electric one of that. That's the one thing I'm like, I want an electric version of that. But oh my god, they're so good, aren't they? And the styling, and they just seem to be moving so fast in terms of their EV technology, V2L on everything. The cars look great. The range is good. Yeah, brilliant. I think they really are kind of just showing people how it can be done. So yeah, totally. Good choice, I think.
Naturally,
really
as we're all sat here talking, I mean, Mike owns an Ioniq 5, so big fan. And you, Mike?
Mainly a big fan.
No, don't worry, I'm not going to say anything horrible. No, I mean, if you'd said to me 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, they would spend my own hard-earned money, and quite a lot of it as well, on a Hyundai, I'd have said you were mad. But the transformation of the company is incredible, isn't it? It's now become it's a desirable product. You get the feeling that Hyundai is kind of in that sort of second or third generation now, whereas a lot of the other brands are maybe getting into their second generation now, like Volkswagen Group, that kind of thing. You always think you can't. It's hard to make that up, isn't it? Because you only go through experience in terms of building these things. So, and it's that constant improvement of things. We've driven the updated Hyundai Ioniq 5, so the new version of mine. But there's so many detail improvements on that car that you wouldn't normally have got in a production pipeline, even with a facelift. So it's that constant evolution as well. Even when you buy a car now, it's going to constantly evolve, and a lot of it is software updates. There's a few hardware bits that are different. So it's that keeping on top of everything. They managed to keep all the plates spinning, which is really good.
Yeah. You make a good point there, actually, because we mentioned the Renault 5 being aspirational, but I think Hyundai have really nailed that as well, in that their cars, they're really desirable. The brand sort of the way, and Kia too, I have to say, but the way Hyundai and Kia have moved forward with their real kind of, that they're really desirable cars. And, I hear from a lot of people who are quite anti-EV, and often they're kind of real performance focused people as well, real kind of like hardcore petrol heads. They really like the 5N. It's one of the first electric cars that they've really kind of like thought, actually, there's hope in electric cars. They love it. So it's really, again, with the aspirational thing, and the same with the Renault 5, the same people I've heard them go, actually, the Renault 5 is the first electric car I've really looked at and thought I could live with and want. So it's interesting that I think we're seeing a bit of a sort of, a change of direction with some attitudes towards EVs this year, with some of the stuff coming out, and Hyundai is definitely kind of leading it in that respect. I think it's doing really well, really good.
I think what I love about Hyundai is the fact that they're not Russian dolls. So often car brands are just kind of like really big down to really little, and they're all pretty much the same. But I think it's the fact that they're more like a Monopoly board, if you get what I mean. So you've got your Miss Scarlet, which is maybe like the Ioniq 6, I think, is a Miss Scarlet one. And then you've got your Professor Plum, who is
You're talking about Cluedo now instead of Monopoly. You've completely messed up your board game.
I am talking about Cluedo, aren't I? It's been a really long day. Okay, they're like a Cluedo set. There we go, game of Cluedo. Let's revert back to that. But you know what I mean.
Get killed in the library with a candlestick. Is that kind of part of Hyundai's lineup? Is that
That's never going to happen. But I do, from like that cute little dinky Insta, all the way up to, we're excited. We're going to see the forthcoming Ioniq 7 or 9. We suspect it's going to be 9, which will be their big car. I think they do really different things. They've got a really great design director in Sang-Yup Lee, who is just a very brilliant person as well, really passionate about design, but is really keen that the cars have their own character. And I think that really comes across in the range. And in coming back to what you said, Vic, it makes them desirable. And honestly, if you'd have told me, like you say, Mike, 6-7 years ago, that we'd be naming Hyundai an EV brand of the year, I just would have laughed my head off. But they got in there early. They've brought in a lot of talented people into that company, and it's really paying off with the cars on offer. So it's a really well-deserved award, I think.
Yeah, well done, Hyundai. So, right, that's 4 awards down. We are now down to the big one. So naturally, it's only right that Boss Lady does it. Go on, over to you, Ginny.
I thought you were going to say it's only natural. It's only right that the big one does it. Big one
I mean, yeah, sure.
Okay, so the big one, the car of the year. Oh my goodness me. This could have been so many cars. We had quite a list, like we said at the start, didn't we? So what else was on there? Obviously, we had the Renault 5, we had the Spring,
the
we
daftest
had
Spring.
the Kia EV3, we had the Insta as well, because we just have really liked. I think that package is such a good all-round package. What other cars were considering for this one for the car of the year? They were some of the main contenders. Oh, Citroen EC3 as well. That was something that we discussed, wasn't it?
Yeah, E5008. I'm quite a big fan of the 5008. Yeah. Seven seats, good value, all of that stuff. So yeah,
that was on it was on the list, and I think just in reflection of how many brilliant electric cars have come to the market this year. I think it was Mike was saying right at the start. you know, we struggled for the reasons that, you know, we could have given it to, you know, several of them, but there was just, I think in the end, one car that we all kept coming back to. So shall I reveal the
Please do.
winner? Our car of the year goes to the Kia EV3. Yay! This is, I think, there's so much good stuff about this car. I think Vicky, you and I have both driven it, and it drives really well. And it's really easy to say, oh, it's just another one of those, you know, sort of family-sized SUV crossovers. But I think it genuinely brings something really fresh to the market. You know, it's got the complete package. It looks great. Again, Kia, like Hyundai, are nailing it with the design of their cars. So I think it looks great. It's got loads of space, actually, loads of space on offer, but it doesn't feel too massive either when you drive it or when you stand next to it. Because often I stand next to cars and I feel like an Oompa Loompa, and I didn't.
You are miniature.
Miniature, yeah, mini Ginny, mini Ginny and Picky Vicky. So when I stand, you know, next to it, I don't feel tiny, but you go inside, it's got stacks of space. It's got a lot of fantastic tech that you'll get along, you know, in all the cars in the range. So they've not scrimped on that. I think it's just that sheer value for money that it offers for the range. So if we just go through a little bit of that. So it starts at £32,995. This is for the smaller battery, but listen, you're still getting an official range of 267 miles for that, which is great. Great range for the money. You opt for that bigger battery, that's 372 miles of range. And we know that lots of buyers coming into this market are coming into this class of car. It's the cars we buy the most of across the UK and around Europe. They're coming into electric for the first time. And I think that range is the thing that often swings it if you're new, because you just want that peace of mind. And as you drive electric cars more, you know that perhaps you don't need as much range as you first thought. I think in terms of sheer value for money, for what it offers, it just stands just above everything else in its class. You know, we just kept coming back to it, and I think it's a really worthy winner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Is it does everything. You look at, I mean, you know, we really debated, you know, the Renault 5 was we really sort of agonized over that one, and you know, and the Insta. But the EV3 just seems to tick so many boxes. I mean, it's better value for that range than even the MG4. So that's kind of remarkable, isn't it? It's finally a car that's really actually taking the fight to MG for value when it comes to range, interior quality, tech, all of that stuff. So it's really important car, I think, the EV3. It's really showing that, and as per what we were saying earlier, it's quite desirable. It looks great. Yeah. People really want Kias now. It's got real kind of brand value, and yeah, it's just a fantastic package overall, I think, and it's well priced. So, you know, monthly prices too. So it's good. Yeah, it's good. Everything, really, isn't it?
I got some early pictures of this car, and I put it on. I sent them to Tom, and he was like, "No, that's not the car. That's the concept." I was like, "No, it's not. It's the car." And it's one of those rare beasts that I think, like the EV9 before it, that looks as good as the concept. You know, it is a really desirable car as well. Nick, Mike, thoughts?
I mean, for me, it's a clear winner. I think Kia are absolutely smashing it. Very similar to Hyundai. I mean, you know, both sort of Korean brands are being absolutely brilliant. I've been such a fan of Kia for such a long time, and every new car they bring out, it's like they'll reveal a car and you already just know it's going to be great. You don't even have to sit in it, and you don't even have to drive it without already now knowing that it's going to be a really, really good car. And the fact that they offer the warranties that they do means that they're confident in what they're making, and they deserve every bit of applause coming their way, because Kia are just a phenomenal brand. I'm a big, big fan.
And it might sound a bit nerdy, but I really like the fact that the range structure is really good, because you can get the big battery, so the 372 mile range with the front wheel drive, with the air spec. Normally what car manufacturers do is say, if you want the big battery, well, hey, you've got to spend, you know, you've got to have the XYZ, the top range one, which comes at, you know, 42,000. So suddenly this kind of low entry price is kind of irrelevant. But Kira stuck to their guns. They've actually made, you can get that big battery with the entry level spec effectively, which is going to be 36 grand. And like Vicky says, I don't think there's any, I mean, we need to do the sums, but I don't think there's anyone else that would offers that much range for that money. So I think, I'm really pleased that Kia have seen fit to make that big battery available in the lesser spec car. So yeah, brilliant package.
Yeah, there is a bit of meanness goes on, isn't there, with how you spec cars and the amount you end up having to spend. So yeah, it's just a great all round car. And of course, we have got a first drive review of that here on the YouTube channel, and we've got reviews of we've got a review of the Insta coming very soon. We've got review of the EC4, the new one, and the previous version one, and we've got reviews of all Hyundai's range here. So if you aren't already, do subscribe. And if you think we've got it all wrong, let us know as well. You don't agree with us.
Let us know in the comment section below. And look, I know we've been playing a wonderful sound effect throughout this whole entire thing, but I think it's only fair that we play the second one that we have as we give a massive round of applause to all of our winners for the Electrifying Car of the Year Awards.
Yeah.
Play it. Why are you not playing it, Mike?
Play it, Mike. Play it.
It's playing.
It's not playing.
Yeah. Oh, and the award for podcast sound effects goes to Mike. Yay!
Anyway, if anyone needs a sound mixer, I'm available freelance. For shows.
Look, as always, let us know what you think in the comment section below. If you think we have missed anything, or if there was anything in particular that stood out for you, if you could hand out your own award, put it in the comment section below, because we will be back next week and we will go through all of your comments and, we'll acknowledge them. We promise, we absolutely will. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and on the actual podcast, if you are just listening to this, then rate us, please, because it's good for the algorithm and good for us. So give us a little 5-star review if you can, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. And we will see you next week. Thank you very much for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.